gentlemen, this is the Church Guys Podcast. I'm Brett, I'm the firefighter.
I'm Quentin, I'm the student.
I'm Craig, I'm the pastor.
I'm DJ, and I'm the IT guy.
And we are the Church Guys. So we've been out for a little while, and we've got some stuff we need to catch up on. Man, I tell you, life has gotten busy for me here recently. So that's one of the reasons. We had church camp last week, which I heard was just fantastic, but I couldn't. How was it, guys? Y'all were all there. I wasn't.
Wonderful.
It's church camp, man. It's always great. You know, you lose a couple pounds.
I've never heard
because the
somebody
food is not
say,
real.
church camp is so great, in the most
So
monotone.
great. So great. I'm still recovering. That's
Thank
why I'm
you,
tired, man.
Eeyore.
I'm still tired.
There was a little bit of sickness, so we're praying for all of you guys that got sick. But
Sleeping on those mattresses that
Sick
of
are
those
not a
bunk
mattress.
That mattress, non-mattress.
foam and a blue little skirt on top of a bunk bed.
No, it wasn't even foam. It was just air. Every time you lay down, all you hear is psh.
That always makes a good time memory, though, right there. Like, you remember when we
You're
stayed in that?
Definitely learn to lay on the floor.
I mean, had the floor not been so dirty, that was gonna be my next.
Your next
And
move.
by the way, if you walk on that floor barefooted,
Gross.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which
There's a memory.
Catch
Keeps
something you
lasting
don't
with
wash
you.
off.
Well, we've been busy. I just got back from state for Clara. We got 5th out of the state. That's pretty
There you
doggone good. And all those other 4 teams that was ahead of us were just monsters. I'm telling you, we're great. They were good. Hey, all right. Good job. Good job, Edgewood Extreme. Clara did great. I was proud of her. She's one of 2 that hit a home run for us, the whole state playoffs. So that was pretty good. Taught her everything she knows. Now we're busy with Dax. He's playing state right now, and luckily it's just down the road. But we did go to Waco for
Wacko.
Clara's. And and just a side note, Dax is playing some of the best baseball he's ever played. He's holding first base down. He's looking like a stud. He's hit him a couple of home runs. He has
There we
done
go.
awesome.
Very good.
So I'm proud of him. But what's up? What do you got?
There you go.
Oh, yeah. But we went down to Waco, and it's pretty cool because we get to take opportunities to see our faith in other things that we come in contact with. So we went and visited the Inner Space Caverns down there in Austin,
Very nice.
just right down the road from
Those caverns are neat. I've been there.
Brooklyn's grandma. Yeah, but it's moisty. It is very moisty.
You know they found that one.
Yeah,
Did they
they
tell you
were
how they
they were
found
digging for seeing the how stable it was going to be for the bridge, the overpass.
35.
Wow.
Yep, and which is crazy because they put the pillars on top of a huge cave. You would think you would
But
want solid ground,
Those
but it
caves
wasn't.
are encased in limestone. So
Yeah, it's pretty.
how'd they form?
It's well, hey, that's what we're getting to. But just back on the moisty level, if you ever go down there, it used to be 100% humidity inside that place.
Ooh.
They opened it up whenever they sent a guy down there to kind of explore and see why their casings were dropping out whenever they were doing their little core samples, and they made a man-made opening for like the main part where you go down, and then the other one is where they actually explore just to see what's going on with the soil. Because they've had those 2 openings and their ventilation, it's now 98% humidity.
Wow.
Drop 2% with
That's
it.
something.
Incredibly. And it is not cold like you go in other caves because it usually takes the median average
So basically, you sweat when you go down there.
temperature. Oh, and you better be in front because if you're on the tail end, that's what's going to be on the front side of your face. That big old nasty stink. Oh, we were in the back and somebody needed to clean their back. It was
I
gross.
thought you got crop dusted.
God. Yeah, the entire way. I didn't know crop dusters would go inside that thing, but whoo, there was some fresh manure in that place.
Yeah.
But man, it's just
Gross.
incredible because they would talk about how it's millions of years old. Don't touch these things because it whatever. It'll affect them for 100 years or whatever
No,
the
it
case
won't.
is. And I'm like, man, that's cool because you only been doing tours since 60 whatever. Like, dang, okay, here we go. But we were sitting there asking questions. I'm like, man, that's weird. What else could cause a cave? And he was like, well, floods. I'm like, oh, Oh, really? You know, that's
Maybe
kinda
like
funny.
in Genesis 6.
in one of
Yeah.
those rooms. Do you remember seeing it? I think they called it the cloud room.
Yeah, yeah.
So it actually has waves on the roof and stuff.
Wow.
And can you imagine how turbulent the water flow is for that to make a wave imprint on limestone on the, for the roof? You know, like it's pretty impressive.
That's
but-
wild.
Yeah, the first time I went in there, I thought they called it the clown room. I was like, I'm not going in that room. I'm staying right here.
Forget that place.
I would have loved to seen your reaction.
Nope, not doing it.
The
And he was like,
clouds?
and then somebody was like, he said cloud. I was like, oh,
Oh.
okay. I'll go in then. Clouds aren't scary.
We went in Waco. We were driving by the stadium, McLean Stadium.
Hold on. Wait. Let's go back though.
What's up?
You know, you said the floods. It wasn't the water coming in; it was the water going out that caused those waves. Because the Bible says that it rained 40 days and 40 nights, but it also says that the floodgates opened up from above
From
the
within.
earth and beneath the
Yep.
earth.
Yep.
And
Fountains
so when all
of the
these
deep.
caves, you got a cave there at Interspace. You have a cave around in Burnett, Longhorn Caverns. You have Carlsbad Caverns
Longhorn Cavern's pretty.
all around that were all full of water, and the water came from
Mm-hmm.
under the deep out.
Mhm.
And so when you have all that water coming out, that's pretty awesome.
And it's still coming out.
And so
it's
where does
still
it
coming
go?
out.
Which is pretty awesome. Where did all the water go? Again, let's just get into this just for a second, okay?
No, let's hit it. I'm in it. I love it.
I wasn't even planning this.
There's
I
no
Yes,
did
sports
I love
today,
it.
guys.
I did my
so-
research on other stuff today, but here's the picture.
That's what happens when we wing
Where
it.
did the water go? The water went to the polar caps, and it created the Antarctic circles.
It's
So when
also
you
in the
think about
ocean.
all that,
Yeah, that's what I said. The
That's
ocean.
where all the water's at.
the water didn't rise. The water didn't rise. It went out, and so we get.
I
to
don't
picture
know.
What it is. So
I'm
pretty
not
Well,
educated in
awesome.
I
that
mean, if it
matter.
came from within the earth, it did rise because it's above the earth.
And then you
now.
think about
but I think that's also when
And you-
we have all those tectonic plates
you think
shifting,
about shit.
creating the
When
mountains
did that happen?
during the flood. That's why we see
Exactly.
at the top of Mount Everest, we see fossilized oysters or clams.
Fish
sorry,
and all
clams.
that kind of stuff.
And they are in a closed position. Whenever clams naturally die, they die in an open position. That's why when you go on the beach, you
crazy,
find all
isn't
those open shells. Well, this is actually closed because they died in a very
Instantly.
quick, instant way that was buried into a
Not millions of years ago.
no. But here,
Yep.
this is what's so beautiful. This is why I wanted to get to this other part in Waco. So, but it was funny. We were driving by that McLean Stadium in Baylor,
The big toilet
and,
bowl.
and I was like, "There you go, Dax. That's where the Baylor Bears play." He goes, "That's where they play football." I'm like, "Well, really, that's where they try."
where they try to play
love it.
football.
Love it.
So, but just down from that, just like 5 miles or something, they have a mammoth museum.
Oh,
Wow.
And
yes.
they were
I haven't been there. I
the
heard it's pretty
story is
cool.
like, there were some kids that were just being kids, and they actually found like a huge bone that was sticking up out of the ground. They took it to the Baylor University. The tester were like, "Man, this is a mammoth
Wow.
bone." Well, Columbian mammoth. It wasn't the woolly one. That is what it doesn't matter.
Still a
So
mammoth, though.
they
A mammoth's a
found-
mammoth.
I didn't know there was
tons.
different ones.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different
Like
breeds.
an elephant type stuff,
Mhm.
or is that
Yeah,
what's
so this one's actually bigger and hairless, and of course they have renditions. But they don't know
I
what they
hate
look
those
like.
hairless
So-
cats.
Oh, I know it. They're beautiful. ain't
the
they?
devil, man.
Boy, all you got to do for Halloween, set them couple out.
Oh,
You're
man.
there. That's all you
I'm
need.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was
But- no, you're right.
freaky mental.
But they found like what they're calling as a nursery, and so it's funny because their stories changed. They can't just tell a story and then have something else. Now they have changed. It's just kind of funny. So they talk about how the men or males of the group, which is crazy that you can see it's a male. It's almost scientific that
Wait,
they didn't
what?
decide to be a male.
No, what?
Which is also particularly interesting because the tour guide had on a his pin to let you know what he identified
Oh
as.
boy.
Is this incredible? This
What?
is
And he was a he, so you
yes.
don't need to tell me. You're cool. I'm cool with that.
yes. But there was one guy that didn't have a pin on, and I was like, "You're the guy. You're the man." But this is National Park Service, so
Wow.
it's because this is a federal place.
Yep.
So they're gonna
Wow.
be wearing this stuff. That makes sense now. But I thought that was so incredible, and I'm like, man, I didn't want to be that guy.
I would.
But of
Yeah,
course,
you
I
did.
am that guy. So I'm like, man. So how do we know he didn't decide to be something
Of all
else?
the people, Brett said I didn't want to be that guy.
But
No.
you know deep down inside he was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be that
Oh,
guy.
no.
There was like being that guy.
Seriously, there was like 0.3 seconds of resistance that I, like
Point
but,
3.
So I'm like, man, it's scientific, so it's really easy to tell the gender of these. Oh yeah, and he's like the pelvis of the male is round and the females is diamond. I'm like, wow, you mean they're genetically different?
Kind of like people.
Yes, exactly.
And so when they dig up bones of a human being,
today?
The good one
I
right
love
there,
it.
dude. I like it. He's on the board, baby.
and so they dig up people who have been deceased that are trying to make an identification, and they go, wait a second, their hips are different being male and female? Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Actually, I did know that. You can't see me winking. People are crazy.
Yes.
That's what makes us male and female. It's not our choice. Oh, gender is fluid. No. Gender is static.
Does that
Either
mean
you're
gender
born
is
a
water?
male- Oh, yeah.
So,
According to people's.
yeah. They might identify as water,
sorry,
you know?
I'm not going to be derogatory today. I told myself I wasn't going to be derogatory today.
But no, it was just interesting to listen to them talk because they found juvenile bones, they found mother bones. They said that the bones you can like cut and look in, and they almost have rings,
They're like trees.
kind of like a tree.
Oh, yeah.
And they talk about how
Very cool.
they're pregnant for 2 years and then they feed for 2 years. So you have 4 years that are kind of like skinny rings, like those are your drought years. So they kind of so one of them they said was pregnant for probably 2 times or something is what they're guessing.
Mm.
But then
You mean
they-
science tells them these things?
it's incredible, right? But if you move, I'm not kidding you, Craig. It's as far from me to you. Okay, I'm going to say less than 10 feet, but let's just say 30 feet.
Sure.
Let's say 50 yards.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's a male. Okay, there's a male laying on the ground that close, and they're like, no, this one is about 35,000 years later. And I'm like, what? What are you talking
Whoa,
about?
You're 10 feet
You mean
away.
10 feet?
So he walked 10 feet in 35,000
Not
years.
10 feet deeper.
Yes, because they said that males didn't stick around the herd or whatever because they got aggressive. They
So he just
have
come
their
back to
thing.
visit his dead wife?
I guess so.
He's come back to pay his respects.
35,000 years with dead wives.
What the
He
world?
walks up. This is where my wife was 35,000 years ago, so I'm going to die 10 feet away.
And so they never migrated anywhere. They stayed in that exact location.
It's incredible.
That's a
and
miracle of science.
Just down the road at Interspace Cavern, they
Yeah.
had mammoths in that. They had those
I saw the pictographs in there. a long time
super
ago.
yeah the
Yeah.
paintings
Yeah.
that they have of the massive armadillo and they said there was a 20-foot tall sloth.
And
That's what they
so
said.
wait a second here. Let's talk about that too. Let's kind of bring these things together. And so the people that say that dinosaurs lived millions of years before mankind, so how did these Indians, feather not dot,
Yeah.
paint these things on the wall? If they didn't exist, they just
Yeah.
thought them up?
Aliens,
Yeah.
bro.
No, people are.
UFOs.
That's
No,
what
I
drives
know.
me insane.
I know. There's
is that
ink and
people want to
stones.
say, okay, here's the science, male and female. We agree. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But then 10 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, there's a 35,000 year difference. You're ignoring the science.
Yep.
And so we get to human beings now.
Yes.
And so you've got the he, him, his on the
On the shirt.
on the
Yes.
shirt. And so, okay, you're science, but you're ignoring the science
Yes.
if I want to choose to be her or whatever.
Yes.
Because I just want to be that way. So
Exactly.
the question is not science. The question is, what do you want to be?
Oh, I'm telling you,
You're
it
right
was-
there. That's what we're all going the same direction, aren't we?
We
Is that
are.
what-
We
Yeah.
are. And it even gets better too.
Oh no,
because-
more. There's
yes,
more to this
there's
story.
more to this story. So
Okay.
not only did that 10 feet, but there was a foot difference in soil that also said that was 100,000 different or something.
Oh,
And this
no.
isn't a creek bed, by the way. And we
It
know-
is in a creek bed.
Yes, it used to be a creek. Now it's diverted. Now
But
there's no water
wait,
in it.
so a foot of creek bed equals how many years?
I'm going to say roughly because I don't remember, but
Right.
I'm going to say 30 to 75,000.
Oh
years.
my word!
So
if you come up to
Wow.
Lake Tawakoni and you get a flood,
Mhm.
you're going to get a foot of creek bed
it's almost
that
weird
flood
how
instantly.
water will push
instantly.
and liquefy.
Yeah.
It's called
yeah.
Yeah.
liquefaction for
It
but-
depends on how many droughts and it depends on how many floods you have in
Absolutely.
the area.
Mhm.
But you talk about change the landscape quickly. Just go up here to the Sabine River bottom, and you're going to see the changes of land in like a month,
Yep,
depending
Oh,
on what
yeah.
happens.
for sure.
But science doesn't want to equate that with,
Oh no.
oh, we
yeah.
got 10 million years and a foot of silt,
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know.
right?
So
Is that what we're talking about?
it gets better though, because
No,
he
even
just got through saying that males don't come back.
And by the way,
okay.
folks, we didn't practice this.
No,
this
this
is
is
what's happening.
This
We're
is just this is how good
This is real time.
group is, and I love it. So they also said that they found other males. So there goes their story about how there's no males around, right? And then they talked about how they did this testing. And I know a little bit about this because I've listened to a lot of like Ken Hovind stuff and looked about how radon and argon and all this carbon dating is not it takes your input to make your own number.
If you make the wrong assumption first, you're going to have a wrong assumption second.
Exactly
and
correct.
Fourth and fifth down the line.
So that's why they come up with the years that I was saying earlier.
Correct.
But then he said, now, this is where it gets kind of funny because they did take some samples and they got one that they just clearly knew wasn't what they knew the number was. And I'm like, well,
7,500 years?
I want to know what that is. He said it was 5,000 to 10,000 years.
Exactly.
I'm like, what?
That's the real one.
Holy cow. Let me just tell you something, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm actually a Bible-believing creationist Christian here, and that's exactly what my Bible says. So why do you think that number would be bad? Because it doesn't go along with the other ones. Although that's not science, my friend. That's you being political with your numbers.
Yeah.
And any kind of numbers can be pushed with a political agenda.
Sure.
And so, man, we had a great conversation with that guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I can't even remember his name, but God work on his heart now because he just graduated A&M.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that explains a lot.
There
and-
you go.
are we done?
So wait, so you mean that the conservative university is teaching liberal stuff?
Absolutely. I've said that from the start.
The problem is there are no good universities. I'm telling you that right now. Everybody.
And that's
There's
what I'm
no
saying.
good universities.
I remember us talking about that a long time ago too,
Yeah.
about
Sad.
like the
It's so
most
sad.
conservative
So sad.
universities are still so liberal.
It's crazy.
I mean, I think I want to talk about Pride Month here in a little bit if y'all don't mind. But I mean,
We'll get there eventually.
College
will.
Station, man, they had all the Pride stuff
yeah.
going on there
Oh,
too,
no, for
you know,
real?
on campus. And
Ah,
I don't excuse the vulgarity, but they call themselves faggies. And that's
What?
Yeah, that's
No, they don't.
no
Yeah, they
way.
do.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not
They-
kidding.
they-
It's disgusting.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my
So,
word.
but back to the original story though.
Yeah, we're getting blocked.
He had never heard that before. He's in.
We're
If
gonna
you
get
can't
kicked
find
off
us-
other platforms
if you
now.
can't find us next week on the platform, we're gonna have to create a website. Okay, sorry.
I apologize. But he never heard that before.
No.
It was just like a neatly plant seed in this ever-changing soil.
Wow.
That
He never heard that.
no.
Wow.
And
So colleges are. You mean? So you're telling me now? This is my sarcasm coming out. Okay. So you're telling me that colleges are not the enclave of discussion and openness? You mean they're indoctrinating people?
or research for that matter.
Either all of it. I'm
It's
saying,
all of it.
that's the crazy-
Investigation.
oh, my word.
How do you not just
Yeah.
try to look into something? It's
because
incredible, just like
you're coming
saying.
to it with the presupposition.
Absolutely everybody.
You're not
yeah.
coming to it with the conclusion.
correct.
With the facts.
Yeah.
Let the facts speak for them. Just
Right.
the facts, ma'am. Just give me the facts, and then we'll come up with whatever. What happens if? Okay, and let me say this, and we're going to get back to your story. Okay, I'm not. I mean,
I'm almost. I think I'm done.
But here we
anyways.
go with this.
Hit it with.
What happens if? Okay, for my life, what happens if science is right and God, religion is wrong? Okay, I've lived life by a certain set of standards, by a certain set of rules, and when I die, I'm dead. But what happens if God is right and science is wrong?
Right.
And there is an eternity, and there is a heaven, and there is a hell. There are far more consequences to what you believe than what I believe.
Right.
Exactly.
Pascal's wager.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's called.
And I'm going, whoa, dudes, hold on just a second. This is serious stuff. And so if your science gave us even one aberration of a 5 to 10,000 year Earth, and your other presuppositions are built on false presuppositions, I'd be doing some more digging if I was them.
Oh, I know. I love Ken Hovind stuff too, because he talked about how they carbon dated. I think it might have been a mammoth that they found in ice or something, and the like the head of it was like 8 million, and then the tail of it was 35 million.
Yeah.
He was like, "That is one slow birth."
Yeah.
He was caught between worlds. Literally. Crazy.
But man, it's just neat that you can have opportunities like
yeah,
that. Just
exactly.
and anybody that's listening, take those opportunities because it's at least nothing else. It helps you to learn,
Yep.
but it lets other people know that there are others out in our society now that can take a stand.
And what I just want to
on
encourage
what is
people,
right.
the same thing like you're saying, what I want to encourage people is, I'm not anti-science at all. I want the science to be the science. I want people to say, "Hey, this is the. Let's check it out. Let's check out all the options. If the facts lead us here, let's the facts lead us here, and not the presupposed facts. You know,
Absolutely.
That's the beautiful thing is science does go with God. God is
that's where it came
scientific.
from. That's where it came from.
You know, like God is truth, and you cannot take anything. Like if you say, "Give me evidence that God is real," okay, what does that assume? That there is truth, one, and you're going to put yourself as jury above God? I don't think so. I'm not going to let God be tried by your fallible thinking. So, I mean, we make mistakes every single day. I mean, if we can do that, then why wouldn't you think that you made a mistake with God? You remember you telling me about that story of the guy that drew that circle and colored in a spot and like
Our knowledge. Like this is how much
Yeah,
we actually
yeah.
know. It's
I
like
mean,
1%
wow.
or 2%.
That's
Yeah.
the bad part.
even
Yeah.
if you lied.
God, that was a long
and
time
you
ago.
knew
Yeah, that was like 10 years
90%
ago.
of everything that's out there. There's still that 10% about what you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And you can't say what you know about what you don't know because you don't know what you don't know. You know?
You don't know what you don't know what you don't know.
Hey, let me read a Bible verse real quick just to go along with this, and we're going to jump into that stuff a little bit later. Romans chapter 1 and verse 21. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened.
Yep.
They became vain. What does that mean? That means if it's all about us, there's going to be some holes in our
It's empty.
theories.
Yep.
But they knew who God was, but turned away from God. I'll just say this as we kick this off in just a little bit. Look at our country. See where we are. Why are we where we are? Why are there so many issues happening? Why is it so tribal? Why is there so much strife and pain and whatever else? And it's not a white black thing. It's a sin thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's where
absolutely.
people turned away from God thing.
It's good versus evil.
We'll talk about that as we go along here. So anyway, sorry. Just want to throw that in there because we think we know.
Yeah.
Billions of years ago.
Oh, I know.
when
and
the
it's-
noble gases got together in the galaxy.
Yes.
There was just the right
that
recipe.
came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, I know where the gases came from—the gas bags in universities. But
Like
they
a-
all got together. They all got together at the right time in the right place, and boom, there was a big bang.
Like a fart in the wind.
Something came
That's
from
it.
nothing.
And let me tell you something pretty quick. When God said, "Let there be light," there was a pretty stinking big bang.
You know it.
Yep.
Bang. Yep.
Pretty powerful.
That's
When
right.
God created the earth out of nothingness, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
pretty awesome.
No doubt.
It took some serious energy and entropy and all that kind of stuff together to make it happen. And so,
Yep.
wow. And
All right. I'm going to confess something to you guys.
Uh-oh.
I joined a flat earth group. Not because
Shame
I believe
on
in it,
you.
are,
because
but-
I'm 100% trolling.
Yeah.
And they are just
They
so,
really believe what they.
It is a
think
snow globe.
Yeah.
No way.
It is a snow globe.
Wait. It's a snow globe of flat earth people.
Yes,
It's a globe. You know what I'm
Their
saying?
shirts say flat earth, whatever, all around the globe. I mean, it's
No
it is-
way.
Yes, it does. It's incredible. You can lead a horse to water, Craig.
That's an
But I'm telling
oxymoron if I've ever
Should've
seen
said-
one.
Yeah.
They
Dumb.
should have said flat earth theory around the coin.
Not only are they saying it is an impenetrable globe
Wow.
that's around us, or I don't know. I
What
don't
do
know
they
what
say?
it's, but somebody said it's plasma, or I don't. It's just it always changes because there's not one answer because you
Yeah.
have to make it up to go along, I guess. But
So about the southern hemisphere, they hanging up the upside down on the gravity or what?
so they say underneath us is hell or Sheol or whatever you want to call it, but outside of the glass is evidently more land.
What?
How does that make sense?
How do we even know
What?
if you can't get through it or see through it and it's an
Okay.
ice wall? There's more land.
There's an
So
ice
we're
wall.
we're basically that Jim Carrey movie. What's it called? Where he's like on TV and he's stuck in that little
Truman
world.
Show.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
So that's basically what we are.
Pretty much.
So there's like an ice wall,
Except
surrounding
for
us?
There was
So we're
a
actually
treaty.
in a snow. We're in a snow globe,
Right.
Even though the Earth is not a globe.
Correct. So, if you were
You're
to try
blowing my mind
to
here. I'm
go explore this globe, this wall,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then evidently you're gonna be met with military ships. They're gonna shoot you if
So
you
what
don't
about
turn
outer
around.
So like
Space.
Area 51.
Just think about how many miles of coverage that they would have to cover for a snow
What
globe
about
wall.
outer space?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. I asked
Outer
what.
space. So we're like in a huge planetarium?
Correct.
Or what?
Yes.
What's the deal?
And there's no planets.
I'm not trying to be smart. I'm just trying to figure this. I'm trying to put
the
this
moon is
together
not
here.
real. It's just a light, because they talk about in Genesis, whenever God created the lesser light, they're saying that because it says that it can't be a reflection of the sun off of the moon's surface, that it is in itself a light, and that it's on some kind of a track system above us.
I'm not-
However, they can't
Track
explain
lighting in
eclipses. They can't explain Alaska having different portions
the
of
northern
year.
lights?
Yeah.
Well, the northern lights. Oh, that was good. I just seen that one. They said that is the throne of God, or the hem of his cloth. I said, okay, I appreciate that, but let's get like a little bit real,
Yeah.
because that's a Sunday school answer if
Yeah.
you want to.
No. I'm
The
not
flat-
going to degrade Sunday school with that.
No, you're right. I shouldn't have said that. But
Flat earthers are on the good
what I'm
Kool-Aid.
saying is, people just give an answer and they're like, hey, okay, why did whoever did this? Well, Jesus is the answer. And it had nothing to do with what the question was. That's why I said
Wow.
Sunday school answer. So I agree with Craig. I rescind that. This is just a bonehead.
There you
I'm
go.
just going to say something that has
It's gonna,
nothing with an answer.
it's going to placate
You know?
Christians here.
But anyways, I was like, how about it has something to do with the geomagnetism of the earth? Because that's what I remember studying.
Yep.
And they were like, no, we just don't know. I'm like, yeah, because you don't believe
Okay.
in poles.
There's a pretty scientific answer here with the pulling of the stardust into whatever. Just,
And the magnetism and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. But they can't say that, because that means that there are poles.
Right.
And if there's poles, then it's deflating their flat CD of an earth.
Wow.
So, anyways, I'm sorry. I got off
Oh,
on that
that's
track, but I just had to confess
No,
that.
I didn't know that.
So it gets
it gets
pretty
way
good.
out there.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing it's like it's not just it's just like way. I mean,
I know.
people have spent
But
way
you
too
can't get
much
way
time.
out there because space is fake.
No. People have spent way too much time thinking about this stuff that doesn't even.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't
Oh.
matter.
Meteors. You know what meteors are? Let's just have an answer. I would like for you to kind of think flat Earth wise, but
I'm trying.
if we see, of course, they don't believe in satellites. They think that hot air balloon that got popped down, those are the only satellites we have.
How do
Even though,
satellites
y'all remember
stay in
us
orbit?
standing in a driveway and watching the
Yeah.
satellite
Oh,
just
huge.
zoom over,
Yeah, huge.
and then there was that
With that
737 and
Yeah.
how slow and blinking it
Yeah.
was. They don't believe in that.
Wow.
They don't believe in satellites.
Even though you can see it.
So they just say it's hot air balloons. Correct.
Okay, I'm not
Their
gonna
heads
pick
are
on
full of
anybody
hot
here.
air.
I'm not going to pick on anybody here, but I'm going to say these people are all products of our public school system.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be ugly, but I'm just saying, come on, people.
I
Are they
know.
homeschooled though?
But
Maybe they're homeschooled.
It could
Well,
be.
pick it up, whatever.
I don't know, man. I mean,
That's
some
crazy.
homeschool curriculum.
The
That's
thing that
crazy.
gets
Yeah.
me though is they use God's word to. I'm not going to say
No,
back
no.
it. Try
No,
to
Try to
conflate
defend.
it to back
no,
their
let's
idea.
talk about this for a second because this is what a lot of people do. It's what a lot of cults do.
yes.
Is they pick one verse
Yeah.
Yep.
and they pull it out and go here.
Because
Here's
it
my
says
answer
this.
here too. A lot of people believe that God destined so many people for hell, destined so many people for heaven, and we can talk about that for, till the cows come home.
Yeah.
However long that is, I've always heard that in my life.
Yeah.
But the picture's pretty awesome to know that Jesus died for everybody.
Mhm.
Yep.
Everybody needs the salvation that He offers, and everybody can receive it if they will.
Whoever.
And so, whosoever will. And so, does God know? Yes. Does God force?
Never.
No. He tries to show us who He is. We're going to talk about that in just a second as well. Maybe the next episode.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're running out of time. But the picture's pretty awesome to see that God does know. We don't take that away.
Mhm.
But God is not a grand puppeteer. This is not some puppet show that He has us all on strings doing whatever He wants to do. He's given us all the free agency, the free will
Mhm.
to do what we will. And so here's what one of my professors at seminary said that just kind of blew me away. We can be, and I want to say this the right way. I don't want you to hear me, okay? We have the power to overcome God's love when we reject His love.
Mhm.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
We
It's a-
can
I call it
say no
searing.
to God.
Yeah.
And that's huge to think that God's love,
Hardening the heart.
that's what love
Yeah.
is, though. What is love? Love is the freedom and the liberty to say no.
Mhm.
If you love somebody, what are you going to do? You're going to let them go and do their own thing if that's what they desire. And so that's what God does.
True
It's
love
pretty
doesn't
awesome to
force.
see what is true love is not a slavery mentality.
Correct.
It's not slaves. And so for so many people, well, if you love me, you're going to do what I want. Well, I mean, if you love me, you're going to love me.
Yep.
And then because you love me, you're going to do what we together
mean,
agree on.
I wrote a paper on this like a year ago, and they always say their defense is, well, God is sovereign. And it's like, you're not wrong. God is sovereign. He's overall. Does he have the power to do that if he wanted to? Absolutely, but he doesn't exercise that power. You know what
Correct.
I'm saying? Like, he has that capability because he's God. He can do anything he wants, but he doesn't exercise that power. He doesn't force
It would go
anybody.
against his character.
Absolutely.
Because he is love, but
Love.
he's just.
He's love.
And he's honor. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He is. It's against his character. Of course, he ain't going to do it.
No.
That's like saying, "Well, will God tell a lie?" That's
it's
a
stupid.
stupid
Could
question.
God build
Yeah.
a rock so big you couldn't move it?
Exactly.
What's the
So
sound of
it's
one
just
hand clapping?
He's God. So obviously, he can move the rock because he's God.
Can you hear it?
So but it's just the argument of, well, God is sovereign. Obviously, God is sovereign,
Yes.
but he doesn't exercise that
No.
because he doesn't. He loves. That's the main theme of the
And I'm-
Bible is love and redemption.
And
you know
I'm
what
so
saying?
glad he doesn't exercise
Yes.
just because he
Absolutely.
has power.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because
He could take us
we're
out.
talking about boneheaded people in this
No, I'm
world.
telling you.
Well, earlier we were talking about the Sound of Freedom movie and how it's going into an area of this. I'm going to say this country that is just sickening.
Dark,
you know,
so dark.
and I think that those people are just repulsing when it comes to pedophilia and just selling children and that is just the scum of the earth. But I'm no better than that person without God.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
no better. I'm better off now.
Yeah.
But
Are
man,
we ready
that's
to get
just
into
disgusting.
this? Ready to get into it? We're here.
Let's hit it. Hit it. High and to the
I
right,
kind
baby.
of like this style.
How do we? What's a Christian response, a biblical response to Pride Month?
Woo, and we just went through this Pride Month.
I'll say this first of all: God hates all sin. There are no
Yep.
pet sins.
Mm-mm.
Romans 3:23, Paul wrote, "For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God." So all sin separates us from God because God is holy. In our Sunday school class right now, we're going through Exodus chapter 20, 10 Commandments. And God told them, first of all, to stay away from the mountain. And then he said, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Why did he put that first? He put that first because it is the one that everybody falls into, no matter where we are. And it's so hard for our Western mindset to get to that. But God hates all sin because it separates us from him. We can go through the 10 Commandments and see what they are and see that no one can keep all 10.
Exactly.
Has anybody lied? Everybody
Yes.
lies. Has anybody stolen? Everybody's stolen from
Yes.
at one time or another, no matter what it is. We've done these things in our life, and we might not have committed adultery, but you covet, don't we?
Yep.
And those kind of things. One of the biggest things in America, what's killing America right now, part of it is greed, right?
Oh, tell me about
The
it.
root of greed is covetousness.
My dead-gum truck transmission dropped out for the second time. My big truck, it didn't start the other day because the batteries are dead.
Oh,
I got a light on Brooklyn's minivan going on right now. So yeah, I'm looking at all these cars that are just moving, and I've got a little jealousy going down there, a little bit of greed. Like, yeah, I wish I had all this. So yeah,
But God
I
hates
agree.
all sin.
Yes.
But
Sin is
pride.
sin.
We're talking about Pride Month. So let's just kick it off with the name. Pride. Pride is the one sin that sends more people to hell than anything.
Yep.
Pride keeps us away from God. Pride, again, brought Lucifer from heaven down to the earth, and eventually will be in hell. Pride says we don't need anything or anyone besides us, even Jesus. But I want to tell you what, first of all, today there's no going to heaven without Jesus.
Correct.
Absolutely.
That's
He's
right.
the way, the truth, and the life. Pride
Nothing
says,
you can do, but
pride says I'm a good person,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And it's
I'm
not.
good
This is
enough.
not take pride in your work. This is being prideful.
yeah, there is a big difference there because you can have
Yeah.
you can have pride that you're doing the right thing the right way,
Mhm.
but this is an egotistical.
Strutting
Look at me.
I
Yeah.
am the way.
I'm right. My way's
I'm
right.
God,
My
you
way's the
know.
only way.
Correct.
And so pride also says I'm not a bad person. The question, I'm not a bad person. Well, what is that? That's you being prideful along the way. So it doesn't take long to see that there are issues with pride. Pride will not receive teaching from anyone or anything. Hold on to that thought for a second, bro. What's the purpose of school or whatever else? Well, it's to show you that you don't know.
Yeah.
It's-
Correction.
It removes our pride and those kind of issues along the way. A prideful life will not admit to wrongdoing. Oh, I'm not wrong. What's the biggest issue right now with America? I think a couple things is this: discipline and respect, and they go hand in hand.
Ooh,
Yep.
Yeah.
And those things come from pride, don't they? A
Yeah.
lack of those things come from pride. A prideful life says my way or the highway. Y'all like the people like that? It's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
My heels dig in when I hear that. I go, oh, we ain't going that way. We ain't doing that. It's not how it works.
That
You
looks
can't-
like a bumpy trail in the highway.
it's not gonna work, big deal. And so, wow, where are we in our country with the last month? June was Pride Month.
Yeah.
Wow, it's crazy.
And what is one of their things that they say? It's all inclusive, right?
It's sort of.
Except for.
If you don't
Except
agree
for.
with me,
Yeah.
Except for.
you don't agree with me.
That's exactly right. And I think we've
There's-
talked
yeah.
about before. They can't even get the rainbow right because
No.
they don't have the right numbers. But now they're adding some triangles and other stuff.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
Yeah.
maybe are you going to hit on that in a little bit, and we can just wait for that.
Well, I do-
Just a hair.
I have something, just what you were talking
Come on,
about.
come
I
on.
pulled a soundbite, and it's a guy doing spoken word that talks about exactly what he was talking about that I wanted to play
Sure, go
and
ahead.
see what you guys think about
Good.
it.
By the way, we've never heard this before. This is brand new.
Yeah, this is on the spot right here.
This is on the spot.
Kind of scary.
Because you started talking about it, I was like, whoa, I just pulled that this morning.
See,
Why is it not working?
not even playing.
While
He
the
can
while the tech
play.
guy gets going here,
I know, right?
but so
Proverbs 16:18
Use the restroom.
says this: pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall.
Mhm.
Well, that's a warning. It's a warning
Yeah.
for us individually, but also as a nation, as a people. That we need. Do we have the right? When people go, well, listen, everybody.
moment
has-
they-
Hey, but on that, there's
If I was the
there is
devil- Oh my
a
gosh.
couple of different kinds of warnings. You have like, hey, something may happen, but this is also the warning that this will happen.
It's gonna pride
Yeah.
goes
It's-
before the
It's
Destruction.
the destruction, right?
destruction.
So there was another guy that I looked up. I think I mentioned it after we recorded, but his name is Bo. I'm not giving him a shout out or go follow.
You're not
him.
endorsing him.
Thank you. That's
An
what I'm trying to
endorsement.
say. But man, he has gone into the Lion's Den.
Ooh.
So he went up whenever they had Satan Con and
Yeah.
wherever.
Oh, yeah.
He was up there just
Yeah.
talking. He said, "Man, can I
Oh.
just ask some questions?" And it wasn't like
Right.
confronting anybody
Just
at all.
asking
He was
questions.
just like, "Hey, can I ask some questions?" And he was talking to an atheist, and
Yeah.
and he was like, "Well, even if your God was real, and he wrote, 'I am real in the sky,' I still wouldn't want to believe him."
Mm.
Yeah, because you
Wow.
don't want the accountability that comes with it, because you
Right.
know that you are wrong. You know that you are in the wrong. And he went to a lot of the pride parades and different. Man, it's sickening. He even posted a video not too long ago, I think, that Project Veritas had put out, where teachers were having a teachers meeting of what they could do to help project all of the ideologies of Pride Month. So they not only were they all dressed like it,
Right.
and men dressed as women and everything else,
Crazy.
but they had it all over the walls.
Oh yeah.
It's just disgusting how they
Yeah.
lie. You can be you, but hey, make sure that you isn't a Bible believing Christian, because there was a girl
Can't.
that had an American flag on Flag Day that
Mhm.
got kicked out of school because that was subject to
And
offense.
several boys did too.
Isn't that
Same kind of
crazy?
deal.
I'm just incredible.
Mark,
There was I remember a story on that where I don't know if it's the same story, but there was a girl that got kicked out of school for carrying an American flag on Flag Day. And then there was like this biker club of like 300 bikers that escorted
yeah, I
her
forgot
to school
about
all flying flags.
What I was talking about was completely different. That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
No, this one was during Pride Week or whatever junk that they had at the school, that because they weren't in there all of June, obviously. They were encouraging all the kids to dress up like that too and have all the rainbow. Well, there was a bunch of kids that said no.
Oh, yeah, I
and
remember
they
hearing
were
about
bringing
that.
their flag, their American flags,
Exactly.
and patriotic stuff, and they were getting in trouble. But
And
they
they-
almost overtook the school,
Yeah.
because there were so many kids that were like, "This is sick. This is," and whenever I see them waving this around, I'm like, that is perversion, and it was a promise.
That's right.
It was a promise that God said, "I'm not going to destroy this world for giving into itself." Exactly what you're talking about. It's a promise. I ain't going to destroy it by a flood anymore.
Well,
But
the
It will be destroyed.
it's happened.
the sickening part of that is also is like I saw a news clip on that, and there was a teacher that was for the Pride Week that was basically comparing what these kids were doing to the Revolutionary War,
Oh yeah.
and I'm like, really though?
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, go for it.
All right.
Here's Mark chapter 7, verse 21-22 says this. From within, out of the heart of men proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness. I love that word. That sounds bad, doesn't it? An evil eye, blasphemy, pride,
Uh-huh.
foolishness. That's a list.
Yeah,
Think about all those things in a list. Why would pride be tied with thefts
Mhm.
and murderers and adulteries?
Right.
Why is that tied in there? Well, because that's where our heart is. That's a
Yeah.
natural state of people. And so you hear the lie in the world today that says man is basically good. People are basically good, mankind. When I say man, no, I'm 55. I'm 55. When I say man, I mean mankind. Okay,
Yeah,
so don't take
yeah.
offense to it. Ladies. Y'all are included in this, okay? But the picture is this. People are not basically good. People are naturally bad.
The hardest.
That's what I say on Sunday mornings a lot. When you go to the nursery here at church, you don't have to teach a kid to share. I mean, to start to steal. You have to teach a kid to share.
Yep.
Correct.
You don't have to teach a kid to bite. They come out of that naturally. They bite. They spit. They throw fits. If they could speak, they would cuss.
As
Because
the dad
it's
that
naturally
makes
in
up
the
that
heart of
nursery, I
people.
agree.
Brett
90%
is the-
of that nursery is your kids.
Brett is the continual feeder of
Brett,
that
what's
nursery.
happening? What's happening at your house?
But that's what
Need
I want.
revival.
But people say today, no, people are basically good. We can be whatever we want to. We're all right. We're all doing the good thing.
Yeah.
That's the center of Pride Month.
Yeah.
That's the center of the pride of man. But that's what the Bible warns us
Exactly.
all against.
Yeah.
And so,
So-
our nation is falling for it because man is not basically good.
And
We're
it goes
basically
back to
bad.
your Ten Commandments you just talked about. They're making a god of themselves.
Yep.
and
that's
for
who they're
themselves.
worshiping. Yes.
So
Which
now
also-
that Q's back in here with us, I'm gonna play this soundbite. So just to
Cue
kind
in on.
of
Sorry.
just a little background. It's a spoken word, and the guy is, I like a better term. He's basically saying this is from the devil's perspective. So it's really good. I like it.
The devil, my first victim will be the kids. From the moment they left their mother's precious wombs and were born, I would condition them to see racial division as a norm. And I wouldn't stop till I've stripped their innocence, divide and conquer. It's the oldest trick in the book of Genesis. And see, as they grew up, I would continue my infiltration. For 12 years, I would steal their hearts and minds from them and call it education. If I was the devil, my next victim will be women. I'd make old, out-of-touch men control women's bodies and rights. What better way to curse God than to disrespect the very bringers of life? Speaking of God, if I was the devil when it comes to religion, I put my plan together perfectly. I'd allow you to worship Jesus every Sunday, and on the other 6 days, I'd make you worship me. In the form of money, fame, lust, and greed, to my religion, I wouldn't need to convert you. I turn the 10 commandments to the 10 suggestions and make virtue signaling more important than virtue. I give you just enough religion to hate each other, but not enough to love each other. And for my final evil strategy, I'd make you forget the whole purpose of religion was spirituality. If I was the devil, I wouldn't come dressed in a red cape and pointy horns. I'd drive a Lambo, have a pretty face, and a Gucci belt on. If I was the devil,
Is it? The devil is not a caricature art cartoon. The devil in the scripture was the most beautiful of all the creatures.
Who's the guy that was like, and here's the rest of the story?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Paul Harvey?
Paul Harvey.
His
Same
reminds
thing.
me. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the same thing, but
Yeah.
that's why I thought you were playing it first.
So-
but I'm like, yeah, it looks a little different.
So I had that, and the other thing is, going with Pride Month is they're trying to extend it another month into the month of
Oh,
July. Have
They're
you heard
already
about
trying
that?
to- they're trying to extend it
No, they're
Year
not.
every
round,
day of
year
the
round.
year.
Well, yeah. Well,
But
the
why
thing
they-
is
why they
like,
want to change it to July.
well,
Because
the
they're
union
trying to
freedom.
take out
Yeah.
what July's
It's-
about.
It's the University of Kentucky. Human Development Institute is pushing for July to be Disability Pride Month.
Disability? So you
Yeah.
can. Oh, I wonder if this is like you can just claim.
As we recognize
We'll talk about that in a second.
this is from them directly. As we recognize Disability Pride Month in July, we honor all of those identities included in the demographic as well as those that are disabled.
So that might go back to remember me bringing up how people are identifying as amputated.
I was going
Yeah.
to talk about that later, but that's cool.
Paralyzed.
Yeah.
Why would you? This is a mental derangement that people are celebrating
Correct.
Yeah.
because you want to be okay. I feel like that I can't walk, so I'm going to put myself in a wheelchair just because I want the sympathy of people.
Mhm. Some do it
You
so they
can
can get a closer
walk.
parking spot at Walmart.
Oh yeah, well, that's
With the way
beside
people
the
drive at
point.
Walmart, I don't want to park up close.
But
Yeah.
this is pretty sad. The people
Oh,
don't
it's-
understand
it's-
where our world
It's
is.
it's
crazy.
truly
Celebrating
it's vile
sin.
and it's disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
that-
absolutely.
That we're sitting here just even having to talk about this. It makes me pretty frustrated that these people are they're so way out of touch, and we can't even say, hey, these people need some help because that's offensive.
Yeah.
Are you kidding
I
me?
was watching Josh Gates yesterday, and he was in Cambodia. It was last week or 2 weeks ago episode. Anyway, he was in Cambodia digging up these old Buddhist temples and Hindu temples that were there. And he said this point blank, and I was going, wake up, people. He said what they did was they went through and destroyed all their statues and took away their history, and there are
Mhm.
gaps in their history because they don't know what happened because they got changed.
Mm.
And that's when they got defeated.
Yeah.
What's going on in our country right now? We saw several years ago with the BLM stuff that went through, how they
Yeah.
wanted to take down all the statues. And I don't care. You can talk about Confederate statues and whatever else. And yeah, I get some of that some of those people might not have been, should have been venerated or whatever else. Almost said renovated. But, you know, I've been
They probably need to be renovated.
venerated. But what the deal is this: if you don't remember your history, guess what's going to happen? And you need to go point to that person and go, they weren't right in their belief, and we need to make sure we don't ever have that happen in our country again. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with remembering our past,
Yeah.
because if we don't remember our past, then guess what's on the horizon? And what's about to happen is that if you disagree with the point of these extremists, watch out.
It's Nazism.
It's about
But
to
that's
happen.
exactly what they burn
Yeah.
the books. You know what I mean?
It's exactly
Whenever
it.
you said human development, though, like I bet they don't believe. I bet they're very big proponents of abortion, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's not human development, human extinction.
Yeah, that's
Which also leads to this just for a second, okay? Which is so sad because the homosexual movement and the transgender movement, they can't reproduce naturally.
Yeah.
So they have to go out and recruit people.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go out and plant the seed. Well, like at teachers at school, I heard of a teacher in Florida that was having a child transitioned without even their parents knowing about it.
Yes.
Mm.
And I'm going, whoa. I mean, you can't give a kid an aspirin at school, but you can do garbage like
Mhm.
that. Our country is messed up. And so
Yes.
people say, well, wait a second. The Bible doesn't talk about homosexuality. Oh, yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Well, just the Old Testament. No. I'm going to read you some verses here in the New Testament that talk about homosexuality in Romans chapter 1. Okay, and I'm reading the good old King James Version, and you can read out of whatever version you would like to, but here's what it says plainly. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God. We read that a while ago, right? Neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and changed the glory of an uncorruptible God into an image made like unto corruptible man, to birds, to four-footed beasts, to creeping things. What happened several years ago? Y'all may not remember this. Y'all were probably too young. But there was a guy that created an artwork, and they put a crucifix, which is Jesus on a cross, in a jar of pee. You remember that?
I think I remember hearing that.
Vaguely.
Man, it's crazy.
That's
And then also that was about the same time they had all this Dan Brown and the what's it called, the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All that kind of theories come out that Jesus had a family and whatever else.
Yes.
They're trying to make him like an everyday person. So this is exactly what this verse is talking about.
Yes.
When people start to bring the glory of God down and make it like people. Wherefore, verse 24, Romans chapter 1, wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, listen to this, and worshiped and served the creature more than the
That's it.
Creator who's blessed forever. Amen.
That's it.
Our world right now is hooked on worshiping the creature, whether it's
Yes.
people, the
Dinosaur
beauty of
bones,
people,
dirt.
dinosaur burns, the earth. You want to talk about global warming? People worried about global warming and all this kind of climate change and those kind of issues that are happening. Listen, we need to worship the Creator more than the creature. Lois, verse 26. Listen to this. For this cause, because they took their eyes off of God and got on the creation, God gave them up to, read the words here, vile affections. For even their women did change their natural use into that which is against nature, and likewise the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another. Listen to these words. Men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving themselves the recompense of their error which was meet. In other words, they had the consequences. There are consequences for poor life choices.
Yep.
And the consequence of that, and we can look at all kinds of things, and you can read into that all kinds of things, whatever you want to, we'll do on a later date. Notice, and even is, verse 28, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge. Whoa, that's where we are as a country, because we push God out of everywhere. You can't, you can try to say, well, our country was not a Christian country. I dare you to take a trip to Washington, D.C. to look up on all the buildings. You're going to see the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
You're going to see the friezes of Moses and of the apostles and all on the buildings of our nation. And so to deny those things,
Basic law is based off of it.
exactly,
Yeah.
is not to
Not that
retain God in
hard.
their knowledge.
Absolutely.
What did God do? You ready for this? God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which aren't convenient. What's that not convenient? Read earlier that was taking the love of a woman and change it to men with men and women with women. So God allowed that to happen. Verse 29, but being filled with all unrighteousness, we're there. Fornication, we've talked about that earlier. Wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whispers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents. That's where we are now, right?
Yeah.
Without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, homosexuality, implacable, unmerciful. Listen to that list of things. Is that society? That is, those things are right where we are right now. Listen to verse 32. Who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
Mm.
We're celebrating sodomy.
Absolutely.
We're celebrating ungodly lifestyles in the name of what?
Perverts. It's
diverse-
perverts.
Diversity. Diversity? No, this is not diversity. It is perversion.
It's a celebration of sin.
Exactly
It's a
what it
celebration
is,
of
and it's in
sin.
our face, and it's before our kids.
Rebellion.
It's
Yeah.
Satan. It's
Children.
Satan that has took
And
over.
it's
And
it's
that's
so
the Bible.
it's-
That's Bible verses I just read.
Oh, yeah.
This wasn't pulled out of the hat.
yeah.
Yeah.
These are verses in Romans chapter 1. Anybody can go look at them.
Romance.
But the lie
Romance.
is, that's what Dave said at camp. The lie is that the Bible never talks about it. The New Testament does
Yeah,
not. We're
no.
under grace.
Yeah.
It completely talks about it.
It absolutely
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's several verses. I think.
Those
it-
are the easy ones.
Yeah. I mean, it's clear cut, but that they have to have something. And the thing is they'll come up and they'll say, "Well, your Bible says this about it." Okay. Well, where does it say that? They don't
Romans chapter
know
1.
because it's a talking point.
Right.
They don't know because
Yeah.
they don't read those verses.
That's it.
Because their perversion has taken them over where they're like, "Hey, I cannot even get near this thing because I know it's going to hold me accountable."
But you have a God of love.
Mhm.
Oh, we do have a God of love.
Yeah.
He saves us from hellfire.
But thou shalt not judge.
I'm not judging. God's going to.
No, judge righteously.
I'm not.
It says to judge
no,
righteously.
I understand. That's about false teaching. But also, we're not judging anybody. God's going to judge. We're warning you the judgment's coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Our warning
We're
is that
prophesying
God
the
is going to
judgment.
judge the world.
Literally.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
are prophesying, which means this, preaching the truth,
Yeah, it
saying
is.
Jesus made a way of escape through his blood that he shed on the cross. He died on the cross and rose from the grave because he loves us. If he didn't love people, everybody would go to hell because we're all sinners and liars and cheats and idolaters and all
Right.
those things that we are. But Jesus does love.
Yeah.
And because he does love, he died on the cross for us. That's the great message of the gospel, man. And
No doubt.
if anybody needs that answer, we'll be glad to show it to you. We'll
No
be glad to
doubt.
share it with you because
And-
it's about love. We don't hate anybody. We hope that everybody sees that Jesus is the way.
No doubt. Absolutely.
Preacher on his mic over here, DJ.
Yeah.
I like it, man. He's going.
This is
No, I love
Fantastic.
it.
I love it,
We
though.
need it. We need
Well, no,
it.
no. What I was gonna say is exactly
So
what you were saying, Craig. Is, and I wanted to throw this in there because I actually pulled this after last episode because we were going to talk about this about it being so in your face. So the Human Rights Campaign. So basically, they are everything human rights. For the
Right.
first time in 40-year history,
not all.
well,
Yeah.
not all human rights,
Yeah.
for specific human rights, but for the first time in 40-year history, declared a state of emergency for the LGBTQ plus
Oh, my word.
Americans.
Good.
Wait, it gets better.
That sounds great.
Alongside that, they issued a guidebook with a national warning to help ensure safety in every state. So basically, like, you know, when COVID went on lockdown, every state had their own.
Right.
So it's a handbook basically of when you go to a state, this is their stance on transgender and that whole
Okay, let's
elemental
ask a
P
question.
plus.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Elemental
Go ahead. Go
P.
ahead. Go ahead and play it.
I don't have a clip. It's just an
Oh, okay.
article. So in this article, and that's what it talks about. It's, you know, the civil rights organization cited an unprecedented and dangerous spike in anti-LGBTQ plus minus
But
whatever.
I think that's
Bring
comforting.
It, bring it.
I think that that's great news. I think that whenever they come out and saying that we're taking a hit, that means people are standing up.
Finally.
So I think that that's great news. I want to hear more.
But let's talk
News
about what
like
it
But and
means.
it's
What
also
does it
saying
mean?
that
people aren't going out and shooting these people.
no,
That's
No,
not
but
happening.
it's being
that's the
offended.
that's the narrative they're trying to
That's
approach
right.
though.
Yeah.
All the nightclub shootings were carried out by other ones.
yes.
Correct. And now assault is considered people looking bad.
Right.
like
of
a
saying,
bad
You
glance.
said something to me.
You know?
That's
Yes.
not true.
Michigan,
Correct.
remember when Michigan passed, or the law is
Yeah.
in debate right now on the verbiage on
Correct.
language. If you say something that offends me, I can send you to jail.
Well,
Yeah.
people,
Which is
people
weird
say
because they have Sharia law
I
going
know,
on in some of
I'm
their
telling
counties.
you.
Yeah.
I'm telling
that's
you.
what set it
this-
up for.
This article goes on to say that so there's a spike in legislative assaults sweeping state and house this year, issuing the warning that this year alone more than 75 anti-LG elemental P plus minus bills have been passed in the U.S. during the current legislative season, which is double what were passed in 2022.
Wow.
They've also said that the LGBT community are living in a state of emergency. The multiplying threats facing millions in our community are not just perceived, they are real, tangible, and dangerous.
That's
So
not-
that
that's
right
not true.
there
That's
is
not
is
true.
spinning the narrative like, oh, you come to
Yeah.
this state, you're going to get harassed and killed.
Yeah.
Well, let
And
me tell you
so-
what one of our one of our Supreme Court judges, Judge Sotomayor, whenever they passed this thing a couple weeks ago where there was a affirmative action thing,
Mhm.
she got off on that and she said all that they want to do is exist. Nobody's going around it's not hunting season on
Yeah, we ain't
homosexuals.
hanging on.
It
we
ain't
hanging
happened
on,
that.
You know.
That is not what it's happened, but that's what they want people to think.
Yeah.
That's their lie and their mantra to get people riled up about it. And when it actually turns the tables and makes it the other way.
So I got curious on what this handbook had. So I looked at it.
Oh.
So I was like, you're talking about.
He's a subscriber. No.
No, I'm not. It was a free download. It's a PDF, but it like because I mean I was like, is it going to say okay this state kills the LGBT community, this state doesn't? No, it basically goes into if they have non-discrimination laws, conversion therapy banned, gender affirming care bans, bathroom bans, sports participation, LGBTQ assurance law. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure.
Assuring that they have the freedom to whatever.
Yeah,
I think that kind of goes into like being able to buy stuff because there are certain, say, like apartment buildings or something like that
yeah.
I know that they screen for particular lifestyles and stuff. Because
Really?
because they're probably faith-based operations.
Wow.
So they have that one. Don't say a LGBTQ law.
Yeah,
Pronoun-
which is a total lie. The don't say gay law
Yeah.
is it has nothing about that.
No.
It's a parent's discretion.
It's about teaching
yeah,
a kid
absolutely.
immorality, period.
Yes.
Whether it's homosexual, heterosexual, whatever it is.
Have you seen the videos of
That's what
them
we're
reading the
talking about a
books
little
to
bit.
those people and are like, hey, excuse
We're
me,
gonna
you
talk about
can't
that
you
too.
can't
Yeah.
talk about that.
We got
So-
time for
Craziness.
this.
They have that. Then pronoun refusal law, forced student outing law, and anti-drag law.
Like drag racing?
I guess so. And
Yeah,
so
be
it's
careful
just,
'cause they'll cross over.
and it's funny because like it's like it has them labeled good and bad, all the states. So it's like it's good if it has all this,
Well,
it's
here's
bad
the
if
state
it
that's
doesn't.
bad. You ready? When we were June 25th, Seattle had their Pride Parade. Naked men on bicycles
Yeah.
Oh my
riding
gosh.
through the parade with kids in there.
That was sick.
But wait, that's not. But see, Seattle doesn't have a. You can be naked in Seattle as long as you don't have do any lewd
I
actions.
think
what
San
in the
Francisco
world?
the same way. Yeah.
Well,
I'm
weren't they
going-
walking around?
Wasn't there a
and
movie
doing,
about that?
Like shaking.
Oh, wait,
They
no,
were
that was-
twerking and everything else. They were
yeah.
twerking and the whole bit. I'm going.
Kids were there.
What
It
in
was
the
just- it was
world?
just
What's wrong with these
bad.
people? If anybody doesn't think that's wrong, you got problems.
Well,
That's just
people
wrong.
have problems.
I mean, it gets so bad. I remember whenever Dad went to San Francisco on a vacation or whatever. It was a couple years ago. He was saying that they were talking about an app that you can report
Yes.
when you see poop.
Yes, that way you avoid. That way you avoid it because people are. That's how bad the homeless population is. Also, this leads to see. I was Seattle. What about Washington D.C. a couple weeks ago? Whenever they had on June the 13th, they had the trans activist topless people at the White House.
Yeah,
after
that
they
was-
spoke with Joe Biden. Why is anybody at the White House topless, except for when Bill Clinton was there? Why?
Don't nobody
why?
want to see that.
But why? That's crazy.
Hillary wouldn't.
Talk about the book banning. This book people call it book banning,
Right.
but shouldn't there be books that are not available to kids at school?
I
Yep.
would say
Yes.
all the way through high school, these are so inappropriate.
Absolutely, they are.
This is beyond.
We're
what
talking
was that
about
stupid
illustrations and drawings of
Yes.
of sexual acts.
Yep.
What? Who said that's even okay with kids up through high school?
Oh, it's disgusting.
If you want to read,
It's so bad.
nobody's banning these books from Barnes and Noble
Right.
or Books a Million or
Right.
whatever else. We're just not want them in the school where kids can read them because kids don't need to be reading that kind of stuff.
Well, it's like that sound clip just said. You know, they're going to go after education and turn it into indoctrination. So
that's what
that's
it's been.
Already
the past,
have.
yeah.
That's been that way.
past
And so that's
60 years.
Why do you think people vote that way? I'm not. I'm
Exactly
serious. I'm
right.
just
yeah.
saying.
No, I know.
We've kind of already talked about that, though.
Yeah.
Going back in
But the
history,
picture's
whenever it
pretty
started.
awesome to
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
that this is where our shift in society has happened and how far it's gotten. And we see what pride says, right?
Yep.
Pride goeth before destruction.
Destruction.
And so the Bible's
Destruction.
pretty clear about that. And so, folks, I want to encourage you today. Let's make sure that we take a stand against pride.
Yep.
Not
So-
that we hate people. That's not what it is. It's not hating people. We want people to come to Jesus.
So we could go on this forever, but just to kind of help wrap things up,
Yeah.
here's a question from the outside: what about the people that have the proclivity for that nature or the tendencies for that nature?
Are-
What do we need to say
okay,
to
listen,
that person that has that struggle?
I'll tell you the same thing I tell to are there people that have alcohol, the same proclivities to alcohol?
Yes.
How about the same proclivity to drug addiction?
Yes.
It's called addiction. It's called sin. Everybody has a sin nature. We all have something.
Mhm.
Oh,
We
yeah.
all have something.
Oh yeah.
And that's why Jesus is he's the healer. He's the fixer. That doesn't mean that you're going to be taken away. No, I'm going to tell you what, it's a fight.
Yeah.
It's a fight every day. It's a fight every day for immorality.
Yeah.
It's a fight every day for pornography. It's a fight every day for alcoholism. It's a fight every day for drug addiction. It's a constant fight to do what's right. That rhymes. Maybe it's a book I need to write. But the picture's pretty right. WRIT. The picture's pretty awesome to see that the problem is that we're celebrating
Sin.
lifestyles
Yeah.
that are
Absolutely.
destructive to society.
It's rebellion.
To
It's
society.
Yeah.
rebellion.
It's rebellion against God, for sure. But these are destructive to society.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the Roman society? The very thing that's going on right now in our
Yeah.
country. They weren't defeated by the Greeks. They weren't defeated by the whoever else were in the world that time, the Ming dynasty, whoever. It doesn't find out it was before, but the dynasties of China, they were destroyed by their own immorality.
Yep.
What's going to happen with America? It's here.
Oh yeah,
Being
It's not the
Widespread.
same place.
absolutely. Well, that I
So-
mean, we got to have discernment, and we have to have a basis for truth to focus that discernment.
Mhm.
And if there's no basis for truth, it's an opinion by everybody.
exactly right.
And with that,
everybody's truth.
with that, we're just going to kind of call it a day. We hate to cut this off kind of
We're winging
abruptly,
it.
yeah.
but we appreciate you hanging out to the end if you made it that long. And if you didn't, chop it up in pieces and get back to it, because it's a pretty interesting discussion we had here
Yep.
today that wasn't sports related for once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
I like these stuff.
Well, before we go, I want to give a shout out to Brett's posse over there at Plano Fire Department Station 12.
Yeah, man.
Even though third shift doesn't clean up, is that what it was?
Yeah, third shift doesn't clean up.
We did get questions, okay? We did get some questions. I appreciate it. Cameron, you're a buffoon.
We'll pick those up next week with the
Yeah.
conspiracy corner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I think we're going to hit those on the next recording. And,
Yeah.
and I think now that my schedule is a little bit more clear, hopefully we can get a little bit more regular with our recordings. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
we'll get them out a little bit quicker.
And it's about to be college football season.
Oh, thank the Lord. 2012 SEC West champions, Texas A&M.
Where's that trophy at? Where's
You had to go that
trophy
far
at?
back.
Hey,
Were they top tier that year?
but they were. Hey, just going off the truth though. Oh,
That
Who
was
was
only
it?
3 years after Texas went to the national
was-
championship with against Alabama in 2009.
what was
Speaking
the coach
of-
for LSU? What was his name? I'm
Coach
spacing
O?
out.
Win then?
Why?
Les
Why?
Miles? Les
Why
Miles?
A&M is the Les Miles?
Les
That's it.
Miles.
I was trying to think of his name.
Yeah.
He will.
The Mad
He is
Hatter.
not ever gonna be in the Hall of Fame now because of that. It takes him
yeah.
below 60% win percentage
Really?
for those 3 sentences.
Wow.
I don't know
Yeah.
if it's going to be in the Hall of Fame anyway, but that's okay.
Well, because
Wait,
he's
didn't
top
he
tier
have some-
coach.
Didn't he have some issues as well? with Kansas?
Les Miles had a lot of issues.
But hey, a great time today.
Yeah.
And this was so not the regular, but I'm telling you, each of you, I appreciate it. This was a good talk. It needs to be heard, even if it's just us four. So if you learn something out there, hey, send a question too. If you if you disagree or whatever, send it in. It's okay.
We'll be glad to tell you
Hey,
wrong.
Exactly. I'll tell you who's right. But hey, we appreciate you guys. Y'all got anything else?
We love discussion.
That's
Well,
it.
hey, we'll catch y'all next time. Bye. Home of the Church Guys has a great episode for you next time. We're starting to talk about a little bit of college football, baby. Woo! Hey, I am so excited. We are getting closer and closer to this. We got some more biblical topics. We got some question and answering. We got some conspiracy theory corner. It's going to be so crazy. Come check us out. Bye.